degree to which artificial intelligence is changing the world, and specifically how it might be changing higher education. And we had a group of people who have worked on that. If you are interested in the subject matter, you want to communicate me in. There are lots and lots of thoughts even before the pandemic about the fundamental proposition that within 5 to 10 years, higher education is not going to look like what we have been accustomed to in the last 10, 15, 20 years, that the fourth industrial revolution itself proceeds almost in a logarithmic fashion, and once again, even without the pandemic. Struck us as particularly interesting from a higher education point of view is that as most of us who have lived our lives in higher education know all too well, and I confess that for a number of years. I was an administrator at the University of Hawaii, both in Manoa and the system. The degree to which higher education institutions are conservative bureaucracies is stunning. And consequently, the ability to get them to move, as we all know too well, is daunting. So part of what we were involved in these previous conversations was how do you conceptualize higher education in campus or in a system or within a country as a bureaucratic endeavor and begin to evoke change in it. And we have, working with groups over the past several years, we've done several volumes of this. If you're interested and want to send me an email to share some of these contributions which have emerged from this. Most of them are in Asia, some in Europe and Africa as well. So what we were confronted with here is already we're in this transitional mode, and then the pandemic arrives. As we looked at a number of these instances, some of them that struck me the most were in Japan, for example, where the presumption already occurring within a society with a declining youthful demographic, that within 15 to 20 years, and perhaps earlier, perhaps within the economy would disappear as a consequence of artificial intelligence. And what we were encouraging in the conversation we were having 2 years ago was to try to look at where those would occur and what some of the consequences would be. And I think that some of the consequences are not necessarily as predictable as we might presume. One that has struck me, for example, and I made this argument in a number of publications that have made turn out that I'm just fundamentally wrong, but I think not, is that I think one consequence of this, with or without the pandemic, as AI continues to move throughout our societies, and as we come out of the pandemic into these post-COVID societies, is what we will find is that the social sciences and the humanities, as we now see them, will in fact be impacted. And they will be impacted by the fact that in the initial response to the fourth industrial revolution, as we've already seen, the STEM fields will prosper. And largely at the expense of the social sciences and the humanities. But my proposal, and once again, I could just be fundamentally wrong, but I think not, is that in the face of such significant changes, we will find it both useful and necessary, for example, to reintroduce a value perspective into the social sciences in a way that we fought so difficult and hard to extract early on in the social science revolution. So in making the social sciences possibilistic and in running values, as it were, over to the side, we, I think many would agree, may have gone over the borderline, particularly in the way that we've organized the social sciences within higher education. Anyway, I shan't go on with that, but in the face of the dislocations of that artificial intelligence will bring, with or without the pandemic, our proposal was that higher education will significantly redevelop aspects of it, and portion of those will occur within the social sciences.